Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Android Central Podcast. It's episode number 133 for Friday, May 10th, 2013. We are on the eve of Google I.O., people. Bask in the glory that, I don't know, does the eve of anything have glory to bask in, or is it just another night? Welcome to the podcast. I'm Phil Nickinson, your host and editor of AndroidCentral.com. Somebody, I think, said I shouldn't say that every week because everybody knows it, but just in case, don't you forget it. That's the point. I don't know. With us this week, Jerry Hildenbrand from the site.
I didn't do it.
Well, but you will.
Probably. But as of now, I'm not to blame.
Alex Doby in England.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
That's actually his last name in England. Alex Doby in England. I forget how you spell it.
Lies, you and your lies, Phil.
And in Seattle, we have Andrew Martonic.
Afternoon, everybody.
Wow, I didn't hear a thing you just said at all.
Yeah, he's pretty quiet.
I don't know what to say.
Well,
it's a good thing we won't have to hear it then.
Yeah,
But,
you have to do something because we can't hear you at all. Turn your
Okay, we'll fiddle with some settings.
There you go. So, welcome back to the podcast. It's another Friday. If you haven't been around for a little while, and frankly, we haven't been around for a little while because of travel and stuff. So, we're trying to do this on Friday afternoon now, and we're seeing how it goes. That might change again. I don't know. We'll see. It went all right last week. We were a little rusty last week, I thought. A couple people complained that we were talking over each other more than usual, and I think they're right. Skype's a pain like that. But still, it's weird. I'm still getting used to Friday afternoons a little bit. What about you guys?
I don't know. It's a good time. I feel marginally more awake than I do at 2 a.m. So that's good for me.
I think I like it. I think I'm good on it. So, soldier on. Let's just, I don't know. I'm very chill this week. You know what I did yesterday? I played hooky all morning. Well, you guys know because I made you do all the work. I went on a first grade field trip. It was awesome. It was so much fun. We went to Civil War Fort. We went to a museum. It has nothing to do with Android. I just wanted to say I'm in a good mood. It felt good. I'm also in a good. You know why else I'm in a good mood this week? We finally released the new Android Central app. If for some way, shape, or form you haven't heard us talking about it, so Jerry, you've tried this app, right? Is it not the best app in the history of apps?
I think that app has changed my life.
It's
all seriously, it's really good.
Yeah, for version 1. And it's funny because, you know, immediately when you put something out, somebody tells you what you did wrong with it. And I don't think we've seen too many mentions of things we haven't thought of and things we don't, you know, either know are broken or features that are missing. And
Right.
There's a lot of stuff we're working on. Yeah, I mean, it needs better tablet support. It needs landscape. It needs, you know, notifications. It needs better replies in the forum. You know, all this stuff we know about. And I think what's really amazing to me, if you guys haven't seen it, quick walkthrough. So it's access to the blog, so you get every news story we put up is in there. You've got the forums, which is a pretty amazing feat because now we have all the stuff in one app, so you don't need a separate forums app. It's not quite on par with the official Tapatalk app, but it's real close, and it's going to get better. So that's, you know, stuff that's on the roadmap and stuff we know needs to be fixed. You've got the wallpaper galleries are in there, so you can download wallpapers and install them directly on your phone. You know, stuff there needs to be added. I'd like to be able to upload wallpapers or, you know, save them, not just install, not just set them. What else? Podcast. You can listen to this podcast on the app, directly in the app. That's pretty cool. Not video yet. Need to check on that. You can watch all our YouTube videos. We're going to implement the YouTube API hopefully fairly soon. If I say soon at any point in this conversation, just take that as eventually because I don't know when. But what's really amazing to me is we only have really one active developer on it, and then, you know, all the server guys who do all their stuff, and we all work together anyway. But just how few people are working on this and how good it is in version 1, I think it's just testament to our own awesomeness. No, it's a lot of people have worked really hard on this, so I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty happy. Lot to do, still a lot to do, still a lot to fix, but it's really cool. I can't wait till we can moderate comments on it, Jerry.
Yes.
It's going to be so easy to just get rid of trolls and spammers, and I can't wait for that. Ban hammers.
I'll lose all my troll accounts.
Oh, that was Jerry. No, it's great. I'm liking it. So if you haven't tried it out, please do. Do you guys have any questions about it? I haven't actually talked to the three of you about this app too much. I'm just kind of putting it out in beta every couple of weeks, but we haven't really talked about it. No questions.
I don't know. Questions? I don't know.
Isn't there now we're working on. For a version 1.0, this is really, really good, I think. And it's amazing how far we've come from this, because it was just, I think maybe 10 weeks or so ago, we started getting the first builds of this, and it was very early, and there was a lot of stuff missing, and it's just grown and grown into a really, really solid app. So I like it.
Cool. Andrew, what do you think?
Assuming you can hear me. It's just for me, like, I don't know. It's so smooth. I just like to open it up every half hour or something. Even though I have the website open on my laptop, and I just like flick the top stories at the top and just scroll around. The biggest thing that I like actually is when you open a story and you can just hit the one button at the top to go to the comments. So you're not, when you go to the mobile site, you're scrolling through the entire article to get back down to the comments again, and we like to interact.
It's actually quicker to read comments and quicker to leave comments on the app than it is to on the website.
Mm-hmm.
That should tell you something. So I was thinking about that today, and there's something else we need to work on. But really cool. I'm excited, and I don't know, what is there like a big feature in a news app like this that you think we're still missing? Like, is there one thing you would love to do that we can't do yet?
For news, I think it's difficult. We could maybe work on having different kinds of content a little bit easier to read on there. I think reviews are doing really well right now, but we've got more video content that needs to have a better place there. Right now, that's not showing.
Right.
But yeah, the groundwork is all there. So
I'm excited. If you haven't gotten it yet, we got a nice quick shortcut to get to it. If you go to our little URL shortener, phones, phon.es. If you go to phon.es/AC app, they'll take you straight to it. So download it, try it. Tell us what you think. There's a tip us button in there, so we've gotten a lot of emails through that. So you can take pictures of super secret phones you see and whatever, and just email tips, and really, really nice. I like it. So cool. You tell I'm excited. I love using it. I love playing with it. I'm gonna open it right now. Actually, you can't stop me. Right in the middle of the podcast, I'm opening the app. There it is. So cool. We are 4 days away from the start of Google I/O? Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh my!
All right,
yeah.
5 days. Yeah, starts next Wednesday at Moscone West in San Francisco. I will be there, and Jerry will be there. And this is my 4th year, Jerry. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
This will be your third.
Third, yep.
So this is my 4th. It is, Jerry, how do you describe, if you had one sentence to describe Google I/O, what would you say? Not easy.
I think it's the biggest, baddest, and funnest mobile tech conference thingy ever. Does that work? I really can't describe it in one sentence, because it's Google. Google's got their hand in everything technology in the technology sector. So there's something that's going to be interesting to everybody. Google likes to go big with stuff, so there's always something exciting to see. And for Android nerds like us, it's nirvana.
It's so much more than just here's a new version of Android. Here are some updated apps. I almost feel bad, because it's not that I don't appreciate it, because I think I appreciate it, but I don't understand it at a level that like the real developers, the not press people who are there, understand it. And I think that's what makes it so cool. It's just all this low level stuff, and the people using the tools get to meet the people who make the tools and hear directly from them. There's really no better way to do things, right?
Right. You remember, something that seems, run of the mill now, like a exercise bike that you can put a maps program in so it adjusts the resistance. Remember when we first saw that on stage at Google I/O, how incredible it looked and how excited everybody was for it? That was, 3 years ago. And it gets people excited about technology, and then that technology happens. Now I can go to Walmart and buy a bike that has Google Maps built in.
What about I was thinking back to something like when Froyo was announced. Was that the second year? My second year, I think, and just all those features that came out, and the just-in-time compiler, and I mean,
Yep.
have we seen it? I was trying to think about that the other day. Have we seen any leaps that big as we saw from Eclair to Froyo? I mean, not that we haven't seen like big changes, but
I would say Project Butter would be the big one.
Yeah.
That was the big thing with Android, that it was in responsiveness that could never match up to iOS, and that was just a big leap forward for actual usability.
Yeah, I'd agree. And the Honeycomb era was kind of weird because that came out in the middle of the year, or Christmas time.
I mean,
Right, so
everything
this
about
year
Honeycomb
was odd. Yeah. In fact, Google would tell you that. So we talked a little bit last week about our predictions. We'll have our predictions up on the blog. I mean, I think the consensus among everybody is Android 4.3. And yes, we're seeing it in our servers too. I guess about the same way that we normally see pre-releases ping. So again, I'm not sure why it's that surprising to people that we're getting 4.3 and that it probably won't be Keyline Pi or whatever. I mean, Google has said publicly we're slowing down to one major release a year, and the past couple years now, right? It's been in the fall with a new device.
The people that were expecting a new complete version of 5 point something, I asked them why.
Yeah.
What were you expecting to be changed? And then people, Android's pretty good now. It doesn't need a big sweeping change. It needs small changes and lots of them.
There's a lot of tidying up that can be done on what we have right now in 4.2.2 that doesn't require a visual. I mean, remember, we went with a complete visual redo in 4.0, and it's like, do you really need more sweeping changes like that? I feel like that's just change for the sake of change, and that's wasted development time.
It goes back to there was.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, there's still the question of why 4.2.2 hasn't seen that much adoption. It's just, I mean, we've got the Galaxy S4 and presumably the Note 3 if and when that comes out in the fall. But I mean, nobody else. Is there some Asus phone maybe, or
some Asus stuff has been updated?
I don't think there's any other devices.
Some Asus tablets have been updated to 4.2. That is about it.
Yeah, just not all. I mean, there's something's up there, and we still don't really know what. But I don't know, and maybe a developer conference isn't necessarily the best time to drop huge changes, right? I mean, because they haven't done it
right
really since Froyo. Gingerbread was in the fall, right? I'm trying to remember.
Yep, sure was.
Ice cream sandwich was previewed, but they didn't drop it on us. Like, we got hints, we got a taste of it, if you will. I think.
We got to see the graphics.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm excited. I still think that sort of low level nerd stuff is important, but I still think we're gonna get some broader things that are maybe even gonna be even more important than that this year. I still think the living room is the key, and nobody's been able to crack it yet. And they tried last year; they really did. And I'm not gonna talk about the Nexus Q, even though I really want to and could. But I mean, like, they've got the pieces in place. It's just a matter of playing the game and making it work, right?
It's a matter of making all those pieces work coherently together, because their presence in the living room is Google Fiber, it's Google TV, it's some built-in stuff that's in some smart TVs. It's, I guess it kind of was the Nexus Q. It doesn't need to be one device, but it needs to be one sort of coherent message, if you like, across all those devices.
Right.
So as somebody that doesn't really watch much TV or use Google TV, do you see that as being like the center of their living room experience, like a bulkier Google TV that can handle more things, and then everything kind of comes back to that? Or is it a unit like the Nexus Q that's kind of like just a terminal?
Are any of you guys actually still using Google TV?
Yeah, I still use it.
Are you?
It's handy if you're not a big TV watcher, we don't watch a lot of broadcast TV. I watch a little bit of news. But I've got a television. I might as well do something with it. So Netflix or Chrome or whatever.
Yeah.
But to go to what Andrew was saying, I think we need both. We need a robust unit that will also act as the dumb terminal end. I want to be able to control everything Android from the phone in my hand. Everything I have, everything I own that's Android, I want to have a single point to maintain and control it all. But I also want to be able to go to Google TV and maybe play a game or maybe surf the internet or, read Android Central. I want to be able to do all that stuff too. But if I want to watch, go ahead, because I think we're going to say the same thing.
We talk about things like the Nexus Q and how it was too expensive and didn't do enough, right? If we get some sort of watch, we're going to talk about the watch and all the things the watch does. When you talk about Google Glass, there's so much about the way it looks and how it's got a camera and that's all hardware. And I said before, I mean, it's not that hardware is easy, but hardware is kind of the short term. The services are the long term, right? And,
yes.
And for me, that's the really important stuff. The fact that you have this Android-based appliance in your living room now that does the heavy lifting and is controlled by your phone, right? That you're going to have a watch or Google Glass that's essentially the same thing, and then the services that all tie into that, and as they all work together, that's the important stuff. That's the really difficult stuff. And there's a UX factor there today. There's a really good post on Android Police today about the up button, which isn't actually an up button, right? It's the button that takes you up a level in the app, in the top left, and how that's finally, thank God, being revamped. And honestly, I thought Ron did a really good job in the piece saying a lot of this is really complicated and doesn't make sense, and you'd see the new stuff is shorter and much more easy to understand. It's like that's perfect. He hit that nail on the head, because it's just a mess, right? So when they start getting that stuff cleaned up in relation with the services, it's going to be some really good stuff. Says me.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the watch, because glass is obviously the long play for wearables. It's bigger, it's more expensive, it's a bunch of privacy and security concerns around it. If you look at the watch, it's something they can probably get out relatively quickly. They can get it out this year. We might even, you guys might even come away with them if you're lucky. So if they can get these wearables out into people's hands, and if it's reasonably priced, I mean, who's watching this podcast that wouldn't buy one if it's, say, $100 or less, right? If they can get this wearable device in there before Apple, in there before all of the really strong competition comes along, I think there's a lot of potential there for all the services they provide. Everything that's hooked into Google now, right now, is going to be so much easier to use and so much more useful, and a device that's just strapped to your wrist.
I think it's important to remember, especially with Google Glass, that that's not a retail device. It's almost just this weird retail prototype sort of thing, but like, this is not a production, everybody go out and buy one, and it's kind of being treated like that, like you're going to see thousands of these in the street. I don't know.
It'll be something that looks like it, won't it?
Right.
It'll be approximately like
I think
what we're
the
seeing
services we see at that point are going to be wildly better.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't care about a watch or care about glasses to look at Google Now on until Google Now works right.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you swipe away cards, you never get them back. Half the people don't get their tracking stuff. Make Google Now work right before you worry about seeing if you can get Jerry to wear a watch.
And again, that's not all on Google. This is
right.
Google working with the providers, and I call them providers, but say for me, because I fly a lot, right? Every now and then, if I remember to send it to the right email address, because it's only checking on one account, but it will pick up. I always have 2 flights for each way, right? Because I go to Atlanta and then I go from Atlanta to everywhere else. And then so it usually won't see my Pensacola to Atlanta flight, but it'll see Atlanta to New York or Atlanta to SF or wherever. So that's kind of weird.
So, yeah, there's got to be a reason, something that you're doing wrong or that the airline's doing that Google's not worrying about correctly. Let's get all that worked out, because
it's just a lot of pieces, moving together on the board.
Yep. The concept is amazing, and I think we all agree on that. But the execution is typical Google needs
I think
work.
you're kind of right, but I think you can't really understate the importance of Google having something like Google Now that is sort of an evolution of your classic notification center that does provide all this information. They already have that. It's already software. It's already running in Android. If you have a watch running Android, then it's a relatively small jump from there to having it running on a watch. Whereas you look at a company like Apple or Microsoft, that's a much bigger leap for them.
Oh yeah,
Do we care about gaming? Everyone's talking about a gaming center, and it wouldn't, it looks like it'll probably happen and cool. But Game Center on iOS from Apple is a mess. It is horrible. Anyone out there who has a Mac or any iOS device, it's like the worst sound in the world when somebody sends you an invite or whatever on there. You get those damn trumpets, and it's just I have no desire whatsoever to use them. In fact, I think I can give a little bit of a spoiler. Nobody will shoot me. As part of all this TM13 stuff, we've been talking a lot recently in our lead up to it about gaming. We've been talking internally, and so I've been thinking about cross-platform gaming and gaming services, and it's all kind of a mess. You have, I think Microsoft again might be best positioned to do it, but why would when you have individual apps and then individual developers, and I'm trying to think of where I'm going with this, but what's Google going to do that makes it better than anything else that's failed or just hasn't taken off?
I think it's just a case of having something there, and they improve on it as and when they need to. They did the same with movies, with magazines, with music, right? That's kind of the Google way with these things.
I think if Google can come up with something that, first off, saves your game progress across your devices, that will get every Android fan on board. If you can do that, we'll all love you for it. And then, like Alex said, go from there.
Not just games, but all apps.
That's going to be tricky, but yeah.
Yeah. But there's,
there's so much that.
Yes.
I think Jerry probably has a better answer for this one.
I don't see why something as simple as gaming progress, because that's just a file that should be the same on every device.
Right.
It can't just be stored in the cloud, and then when you start your game back up, as long as it's in Android Game Center or whatever the heck it's going to be called, it retrieves it, syncs it. But like Alex was saying, right. Alex was saying before, some of this other stuff, maybe you don't want to sync that kind of data back and forth. That's a tricky mess that Google has to wade through for all of that.
Well, you don't want it to turn into just a crazy settings panel of which apps sync, which don't, to which devices. I know not everybody has 4 or 5 phones and a tablet sitting on their desk, but, do you just literally have a control panel where you check a box for every single app you want to sync? I don't think that's a very great user experience either. And then what happens when it doesn't work as you would expect it to not work 100% of the time? Gaming how do they implement that?
Gaming is the easy place to start. You look at something like Steam. Steam has something called Steam Cloud, which is exactly the kind of thing we're talking about for Android. It lets you sync game saves and settings and stuff across different PCs. And of course, with a gaming thing, you're not going to be playing the same game at the same time on 2 machines, or at least you shouldn't be. So that's easy enough to sync. But if you have apps that are maybe running in the background, collecting data and changing app data on the go on different devices all the time, that suddenly becomes a huge mess to manage.
Well, and a game, when you're done playing it, it's no longer running. It's a static file you're saving.
Yep.
What else? Chrome. Jerry, you still don't think Chrome and Android are going to merge? I'm inclined to agree with you, but
I don't. Actually, I think that the end game for that will be some sort of virtual machine that we can run Android apps on Chrome. I can see that, but merge, no. There's no need or reason for them to merge. I can run Chrome browser on my Android device, and that's all the Chrome I need.
And the ecosystem still isn't quite there for. Chrome apps. There are some really good ones, but the really good ones rely on Flash, and Flash isn't on Android,
right?
Which is just a whole other mess to deal with.
God,
and that would
get me started on Flash.
the Chrome team has worked so hard. You know, I mean, Chrome is more than just a browser. Chrome is, I mean, Chrome is it's a platform.
Right.
It has its own APIs, its own services. You can do just about anything with Chrome now that we have native client. You don't spend that much money and time to build a platform like Chrome when you just are planning on merging it with an existing platform of something else.
And another thing that's interesting with hardware, if you look at, this is something I say in our actual written I/O predictions thing. If you look at the hardware that's in the Chromebook Pixel, that really, really high-end hardware, crazy high-resolution screen, you don't put out hardware like that if you're just going to put a glorified web browser behind it, which essentially is what Chromium OS and Chrome OS still essentially is. So the tagline for this when it came out was "It's for what's next," and I think we're probably going to see what's next on the software side, and it's going to be something that takes advantage of this hardware to a much greater degree than we've seen before.
I hope.
Cool. So that starts Wednesday. Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
You'll probably start seeing posts on Tuesday afternoon, generally. Usually we start having fun, and they give out T-shirts and stuff. We'll do a post on that, just because why the hell not? And then you're going to see the tweets, stories on T-shirts. Yes. Because it's fun, and they usually have fun with it, and we're going to do it. So look for that all this coming week. It's going to be awesome and exhausting and just a blast. Moving on, and want to talk a little bit about hardware and software. We have more device reviews going up every day. Somebody's like, "Hey, I just finished this review." I'm like, I didn't even remember that device. You want to talk about the week of crappy tablets real quick? Just because?
Sure.
Yeah, Derek did a good job with that crappy HP tablet.
So here's what happened. I reviewed. I'll call it a mini review. I'll call it an unreview. The Asus Memo Pad. Asus Memo Pad. And we knew it wasn't going to be like a high-end tablet or anything, right? But my thing was for $50 more, you get an Nexus 7 right now. That's just so much better. Better res, better processor. It doesn't act like crap, right? And so I do it in 500 words. Had Derek do the HP Slate 7, which is 7-inch tablet we first saw at Mobile World Congress. It's HP's return to whatever, right? So everybody's all excited about it. We had Derek do it because Derek was, he's editor of WebOS Nation. HP killed off Palm. It was like, oh, that'll be kind of funny to have him do it. And he wrote 4,800 words about how he hates this tablet. That was epic. It was so awesome.
It was one of the best reads I've ever read. I mean, you could just feel the hatred that Derek has for HP in there. It was delicious.
And it isn't all just hatred at HP. It's a bad product. I used it at MWC. It's not a good tablet. I mean, the back of it is good. The actual front of it and user experience is pretty
solid.
horrible.
Yeah, you pick it up and it feels nice, right? It is a solid device, but the internals are no good. The display was no good. Just
We're not giving one away, are we? Just checking there.
Oh, I guess we could.
I think we ought to let Derek take it into
give it away on WebOS Nation.
Yeah.
We'll around where he lives, and put a bullet through it.
I hate those. I hate those videos where somebody blows something up or
watch
this as a 50 cal beats up a smartphone. Well, no kidding. Really? I mean, it's fun to watch, but whatever. Those are like drop tests to me. They're snuff films. Not even good snuff films. What else? Our LG Optimus G Pro review went up today, finally. Andrew Vaca likes that phone a lot. I was actually reading some of the reviews today. Every review out there is pleasantly surprised by this phone, which is pretty much what Alex and I, in fact, I've got it sitting here. Oh, this is the Korean one. But everybody came to basically the same conclusion Alex and I did after using this thing in Europe. And, it's big, but going to 1080p display on a 5.5-inch device, so much nicer. I mean, again, we've always said LG can make really nice stuff when it wants to. And it's a really nice, bigger phone. I would use this. I still don't know why, because I don't want a phone that big. Here it is next to the Nexus 4. It's much bigger, but it's nice. I like it. Some of the software is still... Jeez.
The interesting thing for me is that, because Andrew has a Note 2 or had a Note 2 and really wasn't a big fan of that device.
Right.
So if it can turn him onto the idea of a much bigger screen, a device that kind of is half phone, half tablet, then that's got to be a testament to the hardware in there. And it's easier to hold, isn't it? That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
The actual chassis is much thinner, and that means it's every little millimeter you can get off widthways when you're holding it in your hand makes it that much easier to use.
Yeah, and it's not a lot that's shaved off. I don't have my Note 2 here because Andrew has it, but I mean, it's not a lot. It's just a few millimeters, but it really does make a difference, and it's amazing how much of a difference it makes. I'm not crazy about it's not turned on, but the home button lights up all sort of neon disco colors. I'm not crazy about that, especially in the middle of the night. But it is a really nice device. If you're on AT&T, definitely go look for it. I saw a lot of people almost knocking the phone for only being available on AT&T, but that's not the phone's fault. I don't think you can knock the hardware for that. I'll bemoan exclusives as much as the next guy, but I wouldn't take points away from a phone because of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not on that carrier, then you can't get it anyway. So it's why are you reading a review?
Yeah. What else? You want to talk about this Facebook Home thing real quick? That was late last night.
And, well, that's getting even more interesting.
I saw that.
And I pointed that out. There are 3 or 4 different. I guess you should give it a recap first.
And one at a time, boys. So yeah, all right. So here's the big thing. The big thing is official support, I suppose, for the HTC One for Facebook Home. The Galaxy S4, you get a little button that says, well, you probably shouldn't run it on this, but go ahead. And then it works. Then Facebook Home works. I did see the app drawer doesn't scroll as well on the Galaxy S4. So, I mean, I guess there's still bugs they're working on, but they just wanted to get it out. For me, the interesting thing was the timing of all this. Like, they quietly, that, and to get any of this to work, Facebook Home itself wasn't updated. The proper Facebook app was updated. Okay. I mean, I guess it's all web services at some point, right? But so there was that, and then Andrew and Jerry saw this, but I didn't. And same thing for a lot of people. Talk about these persistent notifications.
Yeah, there's this really weird notification. It just so happened that right after I updated, I got a notification on Facebook, and you get just a persistent one like you would get with a media player or something, where even after you pause the media, it just sits there and you can't swipe it away in Jelly Bean. You have to hit a little X and it shows your messages, your friend requests, and your notifications. And you go into the settings menu and you can just check a box and turn it off. But as Jerry and I saw late last night, this setting just disappeared from our phones. And it disappeared from 2 of my phones, but not from Jerry's phone. And a lot of the commenters in the post today said that it was never there for them in the first place.
I never saw it.
I have installed Facebook on three different phones here just to look at this. I do not have the setting on the HTC One. I do have the setting on the S4. I did have the setting on the Nexus 4, and now I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I haven't had the notification show up either, so I don't know if they pulled the notification too at the same time. It doesn't make any sense.
But shouldn't this stuff be natively coded in the app, and the app would have to update? Or
all you need is
go ahead, Alex.
All you need to do is just pull something remotely to change things on the fly. It's not, you don't necessarily have to update the actual code to do that.
Okay.
Right. I think the Facebook app is a lot of native Chrome around a web app. They call it a native app now, but I think the gist of it is, an HTML5 web app that's under Facebook's control. So if they want to tweak things, we get to see it without an update.
What's the Google Play position on that? Because that's kind of skirting around the developer agreement, isn't it?
Let me open up the Google Play developer console, because I've seen this notification every time I open it. Of course, now that I need it, it won't be there. No. So we did a post on it a little while back. I'm trying to remember the exact wording. You cannot allow your app to update itself outside of Google Play, basically. That's
right. Now, I mean,
the short version. But is this skirting it? I don't know.
I say it depends technically what it's actually doing.
Right.
We don't
It's
know
not.
that.
It's not like it's the one thing we saw before where it was actually downloading an APK and side loading it itself. This is something that they have a web view that they're changing. It's not changing any of the code in the app, so I wouldn't say that it technically breaches that agreement.
But the spirit of that rule is being violated big time.
Here's the exact wording. An app downloaded from Google Play may not modify, replace, or update its own APK binary code using any other method other than Google Play's update mechanism. So yeah, if you're talking about something in a web view, that's different. When I use an app, I expect the settings to be part of that app, not part of some web view, especially in the way that it's well, I'm starting to back off that. Yeah, I was going to say, especially in the way that it looks in the Facebook app, but it's not quite the same. So I think Jerry's 100% right. It's really flirting with the spirit of it, and I mean more so. I just want transparency. I know I bitch about this a lot, especially with Facebook. It's horrible about it. You know, if you change something, tell me what you've changed. Especially with as important as these apps are and the information on our devices. When you change an application that I rely on, and Facebook wants you to rely on it, it needs to be as transparent as possible. And they still haven't learned that lesson. And it's going to bite them in the ass.
I won't update an app. I mean, unless I have to for a blog post, I won't update an app until it tells me what's new. Period. That's important.
It's really important to me. And now that I've said that, I'm sure I'll screw it up at some point when we start updating our app. But it's super important to me. So that's Facebook. I mean, it's just really weird. Really interesting.
Well, this isn't anything new for Facebook. I mean, I've noticed the settings just move around randomly, and you get updates like when the chat heads functionality came out to Messenger. I still don't have chat heads on any device. It's something wrong with the way that it's pushed to my account that they changed in the settings, and I don't have that checkbox. So
really?
It's you can't even rely on the changelog even when the changelog is right.
The thing is, it's Facebook. They're so big, they're going to do whatever the hell they want. So I just want them to make the right choices, because we're not going to be able to convince them to do anything they don't want to do.
What else? Carmageddon. How awesome is this? How old is that game, guys?
It's
God.
About 15 years old, I think. 15, 16.
I would,
before my time.
And, you know, one of those games, like if your parents saw you playing it when you were 12 years old, you would not be allowed to be playing it much longer. I mean, when the idea is you're running over people and killing people. But it's now on Android, and it was actually, you know, a kickstarted app, which is awesome. So if you bought it already, probably by the time a lot of people are listening to this, you'll have to pay for it. I played it for a few minutes. It's very well done. It's nicely done. I still suck at car games, so it depressed me pretty fast. But cool. That's fun to see. Apex Launcher got a big update this week, by the way. If you're a fan of that, go play it. Go use it. Action Launcher got a nice update for usability. That's my go-to launcher now, especially on the HTC One. I haven't put it on the GS4 yet because I'm still trying to use TouchWiz, but I'm all about Action Launcher now. What else? What do you guys think? I was going to ask you. We haven't really talked about it offline about Sprint making a deal with Path. If you don't know Path, it's almost like it's a social network, but on a small scale. But the problem is, it's had some serious privacy issues over the past year or two.
As has Sprint.
As has Sprint, by the way, and that's what caught my eye. You have Sprint, which was one of the Carrier IQ carriers, right? And to Sprint's credit, it was also one of the first to say we're not using Carrier IQ anymore.
Oh, right. And again, it wasn't Sprint's fault. That was an HTC issue that Sprint got caught up in.
Yeah, if you don't remember, Carrier IQ is this analytics thing that was on phones, and nobody was really upfront about it. It was on phones, but at the same time, there were bugs with the way it interacted with software, and it was just a huge friggin' mess. And so you have that, and now you have Sprint putting Path in its Discover It widget on the on a couple. Was it the Galaxy S4 and the HTC One? So when you see it, it's going to say, "Hey, try Path," and that's really good for Path. Except here's this app that's only time it's ever in the news now is for privacy issues. I used it for a while. It's a beautiful app. It was great on iOS. Looks great on Android when it finally came. but I just had enough of it. I mean, it doesn't do anything for me that the other
Right.
social networks we used do, but I had enough of the privacy issues and said, I'm not using this anymore. I mean, I'm still kind of waiting for somebody to come out and say, do not use this app. And I'm going to say it now. I'm not going to use it. I don't think you should use it, but it's just really interesting to see Sprint getting in bed with them, especially after Sprint had to.
Putting the little stub app launcher in the Discover widget, I don't really have too much of a problem with that. They've always kind of those aren't always the highest quality apps that you see in those preloaded widgets or stub apps. My problem was in the announcement, they said this is just the first step of integration and collaboration between Path and Sprint. So are we going to see the full application preloaded, not just a stub app? Are we going to see it as an uninstallable bloatware? Like, that's where you get the real privacy issues.
You're not going to see it as uninstallable bloatware just because Sprint, and again, to Sprint's credit, Sprint has done better at that than everybody else at this point. And Sprint has actively said, we're not going to load your phone up with stuff anymore. But yeah, it's just, I raised an eyebrow at it, and I wasn't the only one by far. So.
Right. Well, so, I mean, you see some manufacturers and carriers, include Facebook syncing or something like that in the ROM. You could see somebody going that direction and choosing Path instead of Facebook or something.
I was going to say I'm very disappointed and upset that here Android is 5 years old now.
Yep.
And we've got phones with hardware like the S4 and the HTC One. Yet we can still sit back and say, well, some of these preloaded apps aren't very good quality, and we're okay with that part. Why are we okay with that part? Sprint needs to be very, very careful about who they want to partner with. If they want to partner with Path, Path is a beautiful app and it's very well written. We're concerned about the privacy, but I think Andrew hit it on the head. They will also have some really crap applications that they get behind, and in a way they sponsor because they're showing them to you, telling you to click and download. And that, maybe that's just me, but that bothers me. We need to start being a little more choosy. We're choosy here. We don't review apps that suck. We're not going to waste our time to tell you this app sucks, don't download it. We just go right past them.
I was thinking about that this week, actually. There was a press release went out for a game called, what is it? Daddy is a Thief. Daddy's a Thief. And, it looked really good. Had a really good promo video. And so I popped it on the Nexus 7, and it played like crap. It stutters on the Nexus 7. It plays fine on the HTC One and the GS4. But then it just wasn't that exciting a game to me at all. So it's like, here's something there's a fine line. I was trying to think how we cover it. There's a fine line between something that's boring and just something I don't like. But then if it doesn't run well on a Nexus 7, that just really turned me off. I don't know. I was thinking about that because I saw a couple people post the press release, and it was like, well, it's kind of an interesting game. I kind of want to tell people about it, but it ran like crap on this tablet, and it's not that interesting. I don't know. Sorry.
No, that's important. But it's important inside baseball, and I don't know, maybe it's more important to us. Maybe I should just shut up.
No. I like talking about how we do things. It's a cool job. It's a cool business.
There's so much good that I don't want to take my time to worry about something bad. Exactly. When there's good stuff sitting there that we just don't have time to cover.
Right. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I've got a half dozen voicemails, and they're all really good, and I want to get through them. Do you guys just want
real quick, this thing in Macau.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So let me give the backstory on this, because there have been a few stories out there. LG is doing an event at the end of the month. So LG Corporate sent those of us who were on that junket last fall in Seoul. They sent it to us. They said, "Hey, just FYI, here's a save the date thing for this event we're doing in Macau in Asia, and we're not expecting you to come to it." And what was really interesting was they said, "It's a little strange because we can't tell you the device we're talking about at this event, but you know what it is, right?" And so I think some people took that to mean the Optimus G2 or the sequel to the Optimus G, whatever it might be called. I kind of don't think so. try to find the email real quick just so I can read exactly. Because things sometimes get lost in the translation from the LG PR. So let's see. It's always a little bit weird to keep hidden the specific product name, but all of you may know this. So
I think it's important, Phil, to let people know that LG does their own PR, and a lot of those people are native Korean speakers.
Yeah, no,
that's why,
absolutely, and that's why the translation's
right
a little wonky sometimes. And I met them; they're all really nice people. They're all really awesome. But yeah, sometimes stuff gets lost there. So in looking at the picture, I'm seeing a G Pro.
It looks like a G Pro to me as well. I think LG is going to be targeting probably the fall for their next big thing. If you look at the G Pro, it's only been out in Korea for a couple of months. It was out in Japan a little earlier in the year, but nowhere has it really besides Korea, Japan, and as of this week, the US. They've just released the G Pro. It's not the time to just a couple of weeks later say, oh, by the way, here's this other thing. So yeah, I think people are getting a bit confused with that.
What do you guys think? We haven't talked about, or did we talk about it last week? I don't think it was out yet. These EV leaks of this new LG thing, whatever.
No, that's kind of interesting, and we've gone back and forth on what that actually is. It's got a big LG logo on the front, and that in my book means it's not a Nexus.
Right.
But if LG is going towards buttonless software, which I think we all hope and pray they will, because their current software it could be better. They're still using the menu button, and we've been over that before on the S4. It looks promising. There's a lot there that kind of draws inspiration for the Nexus 4. It looks slightly curved, very Spartan front. It's got what looks like a silvery trim and a sort of reflective thing on top of the speaker grill. So
Evie did say, Evie did say today that in another leak that circumstantially it looks like that'll probably be the Optimus G2. I'm saying, man, so I hijacked Alex's post when that first went up because I looked at it. I was like, the bottom of that thing looks not just like, but it's got the same sort of spacing that the G Pro has around where a home button or even just that logo might be. So at first I was like, no, that thing's got buttons down there. It has to be. There's just too much space. But then, I don't know, I'm starting to back off that some. I'm starting to hedge just because that display looks so tall.
Yeah, I would like to think that no one looked at what HTC, and with all respect to HTC, they did a great job with the One, but that no one would take a look at what they've done with the buttons there and think, yeah, that's a great idea, let's copy that. Because it's wonky, it doesn't work quite right.
Like, I've gotten used to it, but it's still not what I prefer. Jerry.
Well, why beat around the bush? It sucks. Fix it, HTC. Never do it again.
You're biased against HTC.
Well, I'm biased against anybody that I've...
We're biased against them for everything.
Jerry's biased against things that suck.
Right.
I mean, okay, well, if we're going to talk about the HTC One buttons really quick, it's just like they changed something without a good reason to change. Like, I understand you want to have the logo there and all that. Like, that's a reason. But there's no usability reason why you would go to that setup.
Yeah, you're right. It's so they can have that logo there. That's the only way they can with the arrangement they've got with the speakers and everything else.
I'm still so madly in love with the speakers, by the way. The speakers are great.
Yes.
It's so weird using the GS4 and not being able to hear notifications all the time.
Like, the GS4 sounds fine. I mean, it's got a perfectly loud, crisp, normal speaker, but it really just makes that much of a difference in games and apps and everything.
Damn right.
Can't wait for somebody else to try it.
The next phone that comes out that I review, if it doesn't have stereo front-facing speakers on it, it loses a point. That's the way to do it. Now everybody knows, so do it.
Listen to Jerry. All right, let's do these voicemails so we don't run too terribly long. Renee, you about ready back there?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's start with Jake.
This is for the Android Central podcast. This is Jake calling. I have a Samsung Brightside, and thanks to my wonderful work, I am being allowed to upgrade to a smartphone before my contract is due. So, almost 6 months in advance. The issue is the concession line through Verizon, and I'm kind of stuck. I have a Samsung Brightside. It's been nothing but a pain to me. And it's really kind of shunned me on the Samsung name. Not saying that Samsung high-end phones are not great. They are. But the issue is I'd have to wait 2 months extra for the Samsung Galaxy S4 to come out. Or should I go with something different? I've been eyeing the HTC DNA, but the issue is the battery life. I am a huge app user. I use my phone constantly. It barely makes it through a day. And that could be a battery issue with the bright side, but yeah, it barely makes it through a day. So, and I've also been eyeing the Droid DNA Max HD in that case because of the battery life. If you guys could just give me some tips, that would be great. Thanks. Bye.
It's a weird time to be looking for a phone on Verizon, I think, guys, because we're a month or so away, well, a few weeks away still, I guess, from the Galaxy S4 when it's rumored to be released. We still don't know. We still officially don't know if it's going to get a version of the HTC One. Watch what I'm doing with my head. I mean, the DNA is still not that old, right? The Razr Max is still not a bad phone, and I've been very impressed with how Motorola's been updating stuff.
Dude,
the past 6
the
months.
Razr Max HD is freaking awesome.
Right,
I was fooling with one. Yeah, they did a damn good job on that phone.
The DNA is still not a bad phone. It's not Snapdragon 600. It's an S4 Pro, and that's fine. It's a weird time. If you want a GS4, I don't think you're gonna have to wait that much longer. I'm starting to wonder what Verizon's gonna do at CTIA. It's conceivable. And I don't know anything, and I'm not going on record here as saying it's going to happen. It's conceivable we could get an HTC whatever announcement out of Verizon at CTIA here in a couple weeks. That's the conference in Vegas. Only because the Lumia 928 was announced this morning, and oddly so because Nokia announced it first like an hour before.
That was the other thing they figured they might do at CTIA.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So less work for me if they don't. Well, not really, because we might have ACC or maybe something else. I don't know. DNA, actually, I was texting with Jake, and he did, in fact, go with the DNA. So it's not horrible.
No,
it's not a bad device.
There's going to be a lot that comes to DNA.
And do Jay.
Good evening, gentlemen. This is Jay. I had a quick question. This is actually for the Android Central guys. Phil, Alex, and Jerry. I left Renee Ritchie's camp, sorry Renee, and made a jump to the Samsung side with Android and picked up a Note 10-1 and a Note 2. And after setting everything up, I've come to realize, oh, by the way, my Note 2 is on Verizon. And then I've come to realize that I cannot sync through my Samsung account. And I was wondering if you knew why, or if you knew when Samsung or Verizon was going to fix this, since one is blaming the other for it. And as a customer, I'm stuck in the middle. That was my question. Keep up the good work and love the podcast.
Backup's still kind of a weird thing, right? In sync.
Yes, my question is this Samsung account sync. Does it work on the other carriers? If it works on the other carriers, Verizon has to fix it. If it doesn't work anywhere, Samsung has to fix it. When that will happen, regardless of who knows, man. I hate to say it, but something like that's going to be way minor and down on their list. There
are like so many. Again, we talk about pieces having to work together. That's one of those that.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Okay. I mean, no good answer. I've been using Kush's Helium. Used to be called Carbon Backup. Now it's called Helium. I've been using it to switch between devices. So that's probably one of the easiest non-root ways to back things up right now, right?
Yeah, if you want to take control of your own stuff. Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to... Oh, you guys are going to love this. This man has a sexier accent than Alex Doby. Just wait. Here comes Liam.
Hi, Liam from London here. I'm a student and next year I'm going to university and I'm thinking of buying my first ever laptop for the start of my course. Now I really like the Chromebook concept, but I'm not sure if Chrome OS is really there for me yet. And that's why I'm especially excited about all these rumors of a possible integrated platform that combines Chrome OS with Android coming out at Google I/O this year. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts, though, on how that might actually look, because in my mind, I can't quite visualize it, and I don't know if it would be useful or not. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. Thank you very much. I love the podcast.
First off, Spock in the chat room hit it right. Richard Branson. Who didn't think that?
Yeah, now that you mention it.
But I don't think we're going to see that much convergent anytime soon.
Yeah.
Chrome is Chrome and Android is Android. And for right now, we want them to be two completely separate and individual things.
Even if they were to make a convergence and bring over Android into Chrome in some capacity and running apps and things, I'm not far removed from my college career, and the Chromebook just isn't going to be the best choice. Especially depending on what you're going to school for, but there's still just a heavy dependence on Microsoft Office, and Google Docs is only going to get you so far when you need the real productivity suite from Microsoft on a Windows or a Mac for college. Unfortunately, that's kind of just how it is right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Chromebooks still aren't real computers in the real sense. The OS it still kind of turns into a pumpkin when you don't have an internet connection, and there isn't the offline software to back it up yet. So that might change at I/O this year, but I wouldn't count on it suddenly growing that many extra features overnight that it would replace, say, a fully featured MacBook or Windows machine with Office.
All right, chat room. I want to hear it. Alex or Liam, who with the better accent? Let's see. I know who I'm voting for. Alex, Jerry, Alex, Liam, Alex, Jerry. Jerry's getting a lot of votes.
He's got the best British accent.
All right, let's move on to RF Mike from our forums.
This is RF Mike from the forums. This message is for Phil. Jerry, I know you can answer it, but I want to see if Phil can do it. I have a Nexus 10 tablet, and I'm having problems getting it on my father-in-law's Wi-Fi. I know everybody has different carriers across the U.S. for their internet provider. We are out here in Colorado, and we use Comcast cable for the most part. I can get the tablet to connect up, but it's not sending or receiving any data. And I'm not sure if it's something with just how the Comcast modem is. I have no problem with my modem at home. I also use Comcast, but I purchased my own Motorola Surfboard modem that I use with Comcast's services. So I don't know if it's something within the coding or something in a setting I need to change. Maybe I figured you guys could answer that one for me. You guys do a great job on the podcast. I listen every week. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later.
So I am no network expert by far. Of the many things I am not an expert at, networking is one of them. But I'm pretty good at troubleshooting. So it sounds like the tablet's okay, right? And if the modem's working for other devices just fine, first thing I would wonder, I would try hard resetting the modem maybe. If you've got it set to only allow certain MAC addresses, that you've specifically given permission to connect to. I don't know. Jerry?
I'm assuming that he's using equipment from Comcast that is a modem and a router all in one.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming here.
That's what I got.
And sometimes your encryption doesn't work well with Android, especially Nexus devices, where the Wi-Fi stack is a little less robust because it's open. So you
like
want
we talked about last week, by the way.
Right. The first thing I would try is I would take Phil's advice and hard reset the software on your router side of your modem, and then turn off all the encryption, no password, no nothing. See if your Nexus 10 connects. If your Nexus 10 doesn't connect, I think, there's an oddball chance that it's a weird channel issue and you might have to change the channel, but more than likely the router's just bad. Sometimes they go bad.
It gets wonky. You know what? It almost sounds like when all my stuff here got struck by lightning last fall, and the router was like, it was weird. Like I had 2 HDMI ports on my amp that worked, and then the rest were dead, and like the router would connect to like one thing but nothing. I mean, it was just really bizarre. It almost sounds like that. But yeah, I mean, before you go spend money, hard reset everything,
right?
Basically. And I hate to say hard reset your tablet because that's a pain. But
if it connects just fine without a password or any encryption, then try all the settings on the router itself, the different encryption and password types you can use. Generally, WP2 should work fine for Android devices. That's where I'd start. But if it doesn't, try every option that you have. That's the best that I can advise without actually seeing it and playing with it.
All right, here's another one for you. Who has the sexier South African accent? Is it Renee, who we can barely hear today? Or is it, and I'm going to try not to say this wrong, even though I've heard it and know what it kind of sounds like, or Tinny. Almost sounds like Timmy, but it's spelled differently.
Hi, Phil, Jerry, and the gang. My name is Tini. I'm from East London in South Africa. I've got a question about sending out more than 10 SMSs at a time. My cousin has a Samsung Galaxy S2 and he regularly needs to send out SMSs to groups of people, usually between 20 and 60 SMSs at a time. He's got gingerbread on his phone and he can't send more than 10 SMSs at a time. I've made 6 groups on his phone and he needs to send the message to each group one at a time for it to go through. We've tried apps that promise to make this easier, but so far nothing has worked. The last time we tried sending to the groups, he sent MMS messages and a lot of his contacts could not read them. My question is, do you know of an app that would help him send more than 10 SMS messages at a time, or a way of bypassing the 10 SMS limit? Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you.
I don't know anything of offhand. I did poke around a little bit. I mean, there are all sorts of apps that'll do group SMS, so maybe just keep trying till you find one.
The problem is they really didn't fix group MMS until like 4.2.2.
No, they didn't.
Well,
back in 2.3, they didn't even support group MMS, I don't think. So
No. But he's trying to use just SMS, right?
Yeah, but when you send it out to a group, I think it tries to do group MMS, and like he said, he has issues with that too. So I don't think that Gingerbread handles that very well at all.
What's that, Jerry?
It's one of those things that Google sucks at. Still, I mean, handset would be the first one I would tell people to try, or go SMS. And if that doesn't help you, I mean, that would probably mean that on Gingerbread there's not a good solution for you, and that really sucks.
If anybody listening knows, email us, let us know.
I know there are apps that you can like schedule text messages and things. You might look at that and you could just schedule them 10 seconds apart or something, so you could do all the work at once and then it'd meter them out.
Maybe the other alternative might be if you're on Gingerbread and the Galaxy S2. I think most official firmware for the S2 is at least Ice Cream Sandwich, so you might want to try hooking it up to Keys, see if there are any updates on there if you're not getting anything over the air yet.
As usual, the voice of reason out of Manchester.
Yep. All right, finally, let's do Vinny.
Phil, Jerry, Alex, yo, what's up? This is Vinny from New Jersey, and I'm leaving us a voicemail for the Android Central podcast. I need you guys' help. I currently am a Verizon wireless customer, and I'm grandfathered in with an unlimited data plan. And I have got 4 months left on my contract, which equals an early termination fee of $150. Here's the situation. I got my hands on an HTC One with the AT&T, and I don't want to give this up. I want to end my contract with Verizon. I want to give up the unlimited data plan, and I want to keep this HTC One. Am I crazy for thinking this, or do I just wait it out, see what Verizon has to offer in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months, and just hope that they carry the HTC One? What do I do? Thanks.
A couple of things that comes down to. One is your coverage. If you're great on Verizon and AT&T is not as good where you live, it's a no-brainer. I would wait. I don't think you're crazy for considering giving up unlimited data unless you need that much data, right? We've been saying this for months now. Take a look at how much data you're using and give it a long, hard look, right? I miss the umbrella. I miss the safety net of unlimited data, but I also haven't come anywhere near hitting my 5 gigabyte cap, even with working on this thing for a week in New York a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, take a look at that and really look realistically at how much you use and how much you think you might use and how much you think you might use, and it's almost never as much as it thinks. Wait, I've confused myself now. You know what I mean? As far as the hardware, yeah.
You've got 4 months left. That means you've been under contract for 20 months, and you still have a $150 ETF.
That seems high.
That's insane. And if that's true, that's the biggest problem I see Vinny has. But it's like Phil said, if AT&T is going to work for you and you're going to be happy on AT&T and you want the change, spend the $150 and wipe your hands with it. Time is money. I would do it. 4 months of headache that I didn't want to have versus $150. I don't think that's crazy at all.
I'll buy that. Alex is over there just laughing at us.
Well, with every damn right.
I know.
Yep.
That's insane.
All right. I think that's it. Another semi-successful podcast. We have stuck a fork in it. Jerry, you want to wrap us up this week?
Sure. I'll wrap us up. We're going to cut that part out. Let me scroll down here. Okay, everybody. Be sure to email us with any questions or emails. We love to read them. You can catch us at podcast@androidcentral.com. You can find us all on Google+, and I just found out that Google+ is much cooler than Twitter. You can search our names there. Phil's verified. It's Google+.
Oh, stop it.
/ Phil Nickinson will find him.
Yes.
The rest of us you have to search for.
As always. Your name in the...
Oh, see? You're never going to let me do this again, are you? As always, every week, the podcast and all of our lovely faces is brought to you by shopandroid.com. If you want to call them and talk to the lovely people at the store, just to chat or to order something or with any questions, the number is 888-468-6158. We love to hear your voicemails. We call them voicemails, but by now we all got a smartphone, and the best way to do it is record yourself on your phone or on your computer or on your neighbor's computer or whatever, and then email it to us at podcast@androidcentral.com. Maybe we'll read it on the air and, know the answer. Maybe not, but we'll try.
If we don't get to you, don't take it personally. I'm sorry. We try to get to them all every week, but you see we did 6 this week. And I'm trying to get back on the emails, too. It's just so much coming in. At some point, Jerry, we might still have to start some sort of secondary podcast or something. I don't know. Or do a post every week. But that was an awesome wrap-up. Thank you, Jerry. You did really well.
Lies. I can tell you just want me to feel good.
Nobody did them like Mickey.
Nope.
So. All right. I think that's it. I think we're done. So next week, no regular podcast on Friday. We'll be doing at least one from Google I/O, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 10. I don't know. But don't expect one next Friday afternoon because I'll be on an airplane. And Jerry will still be in San Francisco. So look for us live. Well, not live, but look for us from San Francisco next week. Alex, Andrew, Jerry, thank you. Chat room, thank you guys.
Thank you, Phil.
It was good fun as always.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see y'all from Google I/O next week.